Our economy is badly weakened, a consequence of greed and irresponsibility on the part of some, but also our collective failure to make hard choices.
These speeches are usually very thematic and broad-based. They're not policy documents. That's for the State of the Union or the budget. I'd like to see President Obama really strike an optimistic and bullish tone about the future of America, despite our difficulties. You know, I went back and I reread Reagan's speech in 1981 with a very sharp economic downturn. We were at war. The Soviet Union was making itself felt everywhere. And, of course, you can go back to FDR in the 1930s. Barack Obama has been somewhat bearish, really putting the dark side on the economy in his recent speeches running up to the inaugural. I hope he leaves us with a positive, optimistic, bullish vision of America's future.
And Carl, you know, we're looking at a market right now that's down 150 points. I mean, everyone wants to be hopeful. They want to be positive. And certainly we're looking at millions of people there that are very positive and hopeful. But the market still remains skeptical. I mean, the job really begins tomorrow. And frankly, I hope he doesn't stay out too late tonight because people are going to be expecting a lot first thing in the morning tomorrow.
Jimmy, how much is gonna flow from the words we're going to hear today?
Listen, this is going to set the tone. I think Larry was right. He needs to set an optimistic, confident tone. But listen, he goes into this, I think, with a nice head start. I mean, you've been out there, you've seen those people. This president is going to start with an enormous reservoir of goodwill, and he may need every ounce of it because he's going to be the bearer of bad news for the next 6 months. So he'll get off to a fast start today, I'm sure of it.
Greg Valliere, how do you rate the president-elect on what Larry Kudlow was talking about, that is, his ability to inspire optimism so far?
Oh, I think he has, and I think he will. But I would disagree with Larry to this extent. I think he needs to lower expectations. People think this is the Messiah. It's not.
That's true.
It's going to take until July to get some of these infrastructure jobs working. It could be second half before we see positive growth. So he's got to manage expectations.
I mean, it does make you wonder how much time, you know, the public is really going to give him. They do expect something right out of the gate. Yet at the same time, they obviously feel more positively about him than they have about anyone else in a long time. But, Steve, I mean, it's going to take a while to see any results no matter what.
I'm not sure, Melissa, that the public really matters that much in this case. I think he needs to talk, and I don't think this is the speech to do it, but he needs to kind of convince business and Wall Street of the idea that his plans are going to work. This is really very interesting. On the one hand, you've never had an incoming administration as involved in existing policy from day one as this administration is. But the downside of that is the actual differences, take the stimulus, put it to the side, the actual differences of what's being done for the banking system are not going to be that huge. What's prescribed
from
here
Bush.
From Bush, the limitations here of what can and should be done, we know, and we reported earlier today, that they're working intensely and talking intensely about this aggregator bank idea. We also know they're still hung up on the same thing that hung them up before, which is the effect on the bank balance sheets of buying these assets. Right. That reality hasn't changed. Yes, there's going to be a powerful impact on the American public psyche. But I am more interested in the impact on business psyche.
You're not going to get much from a state.
Not from this speech.
From this.
I'd like to ask Larry and Steve. We just saw Peter Orszag, who's going to have his hands on the stimulus spigot as the budget director. How quickly do each of you expect to see results if, in fact, that stimulus package passes in the next few weeks?
I think they're going to break it up into a couple things. I think there are some things that will be out there right away. I think tax cuts will happen. I think they're 40% of the package. I think that'll impact at least balance sheets, if not spending, relatively quickly. The government stuff is 6 months, 8 months down the road.
You know, I think we're going to be surprised, John. I still think the economy is going to recover by mid-year. It may recover in spite of the stimulus package rather than because of it. So we will have to wait and see.
I agree with Larry. We'll recover by mid-year, but the big risk on the stimulus is doing too little, not doing too much.
As we've been talking, our special coverage of the inauguration of Barack Obama continues after a short break.
45 minutes to go before Barack Obama comes into office, and we have no rally at all. And it's very simple what the problem is. There is no stability in the financial system, in the banking area. You can't move things forward unless you get some kind of stability. Therefore, the street now thinks that the bad bank idea is inevitable, that they're going to have to be buying bad assets, that the idea behind the original TARP 1 was the right way to go and isolate those assets. By the way, take a look at the bond market, where while we're off the highs, the bond market is not signaling good news for the stock market.
There will be a point here where we will take a break from watching the markets and allow the majesty of the moment to take over. But I wonder how long you think that phenomenon will last, if it'll even last the day.
Well, don't ask my opinion. I think it ended an hour ago, Carl. I think it doesn't make it's good to get in with the pageantry, but you worry about the extent to which this is being built up and whether or not. You know, we talked about it this morning, Carl, the extent to which the people who have their hopes and dreams invested with the new incoming president have any sense of the kind of very, very difficult financial choices that have to be made on things like the TARPs, the capital of the banking system,
we don't know
the stimulus program.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, Barack H. Obama.
Our economy is badly weakened, a consequence of greed and irresponsibility on the part of some, but also our collective failure to make hard choices and prepare the nation for a new age. Homes have been lost, jobs shed, businesses shuttered. Our health care is too costly, our schools fail too many, and each day brings further evidence that the ways we use energy strengthen our adversaries and threaten our planet. These are the indicators of crisis, subject to data and statistics. Less measurable, but no less profound, is a sapping of confidence across our land. A nagging fear that America's decline is inevitable, that the next generation must lower its sights. Today, I say to you that the challenges we face are real. They are serious and they are many. They will not be met easily or in a short span of time. But know this, America, they will be met.